very warm welcome to this week's Ref Show. We have David Hirst arriving late in the box as usual to join Mark Halsey for all the discussion points. Every flagship game in the Premier League needs a flagship performance from a referee. We'll be discussing Martin Atkinson and the Manchester City-Chelsea game. There were other good performances too, and some questionable ones. For instance, what does a player have to do in persistent fouling to get himself sent off? And a wider talking point, which has been prompted by cricket, and also something that Mark Halsey wrote in one of his blogs this week, talking about maybe the need for points deductions to improve the behaviour of players towards officials. And in cricket, Leicestershire have been docked 16 points for precisely that, should football follow suit. Meantime, Manchester City comprehensively beating Chelsea 3-0. Martin Atkinson in charge. Keith Hackett's blog was very praiseworthy of him. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I thought it was a great advert for the Premier League. Again, you know, wonderful product we've got, and Martin contributed to that game. I thought, I mean, I ref-canned him last week at Arsenal, West Ham, where I thought he had a tremendous game, and I really thought he'd done well as well yesterday. I think Martin's he started the season very well. I think he's changed his diet, his nutrition. I understand he's been talking to Maya from Sheffield and Hallam University and getting that right, getting his fitness correct and losing that body fat, and it enables you to, you know, your fitness is up there and you're getting in positions, great viewing angles, and I just thought he managed the occasion, managed the players and managed the game very, very, very well. Wasn't fussy, you know, wasn't over fussy, let him get on with it, let some of the challenges go, stamped his authority on the game when he needed to. You know, I think a lot of people were saying that perhaps Fernandinho was lucky we didn't get a red card, but you know, for me, you know, his fist is not clenched, his arm's not sort of clenched like that, and he's led with his elm into Costa. I mean, don't take much for Costa to get fired up, but I thought it was a good yellow card, and I thought it was reckless use of the arm rather than violent conduct.
You don't see the FA then coming in with a charge, or looking at it and considering charging him retrospectively? Absolutely
no chance, because Martin has seen the incident, and he's dealt with it, and I thought as I said, I thought he had an outstanding performance by Martin Atkinson.
Okay, interesting points from Mark there about the way that Martin has prepared for the season with his nutrition. An expert in that field.
I knew where that was leading to. I thought he was going to throw that in.
I've got to say, it's great to have him back, isn't it? It's great to have him back.
There's two more looking for a bit of help on the nutrition here.
I know what it's like to retire.
We could do the whole programme on this theme. But let's talk Fernandinho. Did you see it the same way as Mark?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a situation there where a player's leaping, you're using your arms. Okay, he leads with it a bit. I don't think there was malicious intent, to be fair. And like you said, I think Martin dealt with it superbly.
Okay, so full marks to Martin Atkinson and some other good performances as well. We'll go through those in a bit. But just let's take Lee Mason to start with at the top of the show. Arsenal's 2-1 win at Crystal Palace, and the big talking point was over Francis Coquelin of Arsenal repeatedly being spared a second yellow card, clumsy challenges. Alan Pardew was unhappy. I think you understand that, his unhappiness over that.
Yeah, I mean, as a referee, sometimes you've got to have the courage to do your job. You're not there to make any friends. And if you look at Lee Mason, he's been on the list since I think around about 2006. So he's relatively experienced. And you know, the thing about Lee is he's one of these referees that are fighting around for all. You know, it's a list within a list, fighting around doing all these other games. And when you look at someone like Lee, who's been on the list that long, he should be making that step up to referee all the big A games. You know, the really big games, like the Chelsea Man Cities, the Chelsea Liverpools, the Arsenal Man Uniteds, and all those sort of games. And I think he's let himself down there, because if the management are looking at him to sort of move him up into that echelon, he's let himself down. And how many times? You know, I said before about Martin, it's all about, you know, managing the game, managing the players, but players know what they can get away with a referee. And yes, you know, you talk to them, like, you know, the first yellow card, and then he had the chance to sort of really sort him out before half-time. He didn't. He's put in another challenge just after half-time, and you know, he's called the captain across. He should have done that in the first half. And then, for me, you know, he's let him off. Everyone even Coquelin thought he was going to get sent off. And once he didn't do that, then I knew Arsene Wenger
It's letting down the opposition. Yeah. It's letting down the opposition if you're being persistently fouled, which happened to you occasionally Mr.
Quite a
Hirst.
lot, to be fair.
Yeah, just occasionally. We won't mention a certain Arsenal player, but there was one, wasn't there? This is interesting. I noticed in response to this game that William Hill are offering odds on Lee Mason effectively being axed. I've never seen odds offered by bookies. They may have done it, but I've not seen it. So they're saying they're offering 2 to 1 that he doesn't get a game.
I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. I mean, the guy, okay, he could have gone and brandished another yellow sending off. He hasn't done, which has hindered him moving forward, as Mark says. But, you know, how far do we go? We want the best referees out there. We can't just axe them at every tiny mistake, if you like, you know, and that's it. Okay, he probably sat there now thinking, you know, I got a couple of them wrong. I should have stamped my authority a bit better, which would have altered changed the way the game went.
But even so, there must be a fair chance that, you know, they look at that and don't.
Well, bookies don't throw money away, do they?
It's like a player when you've perceived to have a sort of a indifferent game, you want to get back out there the following week, and I think Lee would look at that, and I think Lee would look at it and if he was honest with himself, he would turn around and say, well, perhaps I wasn't at my best, I was inconsistent, my recognition of foul, non-foul wasn't the best, and my accuracy in my decision making wasn't the best. So, you know, for me, I think he'll get another game. But what I am surprised at is we've got another good referee, Andre Mariner. He's not featured in the Premier League yet this season. So being there, being in his shoes, you know, I've heard people say, oh, perhaps he's upset the management, and I think he has, because I've been there, and when you do upset the management, you do get relieved for a few weeks as fourth official duties and in the Football League. But I'd like to see, hopefully, Andre back
certainly
in.
going back to Lee of Monday morning, waking up thinking, you know, probably lesson learnt.
Yeah.
You know, for the next game. And you've got to give referees that opportunity.
Listen, you've got to have that banter with the players. They are, you know, you've got to get them on side. You've got to get their respect, and you have that friendship with them. But players know how far they can take it. And there comes a time when you can be friendly, but there comes a time, bang, when you have to do your job. That's when you get the respect of the players
And the respect to the head officials.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. To be fair to Alan, I mean, he was on about last week, the Norwich game.
Yeah.
In Pardew, you know, that he got away with a few, didn't he, at Norwich? So
it balances out. Yeah. Okay, can do. Michael Oliver, no question marks, who's praised to the hilt on ref cam by Glenn Tierney, and Keith Hackett rating him very well. What makes him so good?
Well, I think I watched the game.
This is Everton
Southampton. I watched the game, and you know, straight away, you know, as soon as that whistle goes, you know he's on the money. He's buzzing around. He's talking to the players. His decision making is good, getting the respect of the players. And there came an instant, just I think it was about 10 minutes into the game, just outside the box, there was a foul. Outside the box, yellow card, stamped his authority on the game then becomes easy. And I just think the way he manages the game, his advantages are fantastic. And as I say, you know, if Michael can stamp out the key match decision errors he made last season into his game this season, he's going to be a tremendous referee.
Right, we had a bit of controversy over a rookie ref a week ago in the Premier League. Paul Tierney, only his second Premier League game. This was in a goalless draw between Watford and West Brom. Came through okay, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it was a game to put him into. I mean, knowing Paul Tierney as I do, he had a couple of games in. He had the an FA Cup game last season with involving Premier League teams, the Capital One Cup as well, and he also refereed a Premier League game. But then he had a little bit more about him than Simon Hooper did. So I would say a bit more streetwise. Yeah. So I was still surprised that they put him in so early. For me, if you're going to put the referees, you know, give the referees the chance in the Premier League, I would like to see him have a run of 4 or 5 Championship games on the bounce to get their confidence, to get their eye in, you know, and then put them into the Premier League. Not straight in, you know, because they're asking for trouble. But fortunately, Paul done well.
Okay, Kevin Friend came through fine. I think Sunderland, Norwich. Several referees did as well. And also, we're praising Mike Jones, because Mike Jones is not accustomed to praise on this show, but he started the season well. And let's give credit where it's due. You know, Swansea 2, Newcastle 0.
Absolutely. I think perhaps Lee should look at the way he dealt with the Newcastle. Janemaat, the one who he sent off. Perhaps, you know, you're looking at that, we're talking about, you know, he did commit a foul, a bad change, and he committed another foul, spoke to him, and then he gave him absolutely no option with the shirt pull, and that was it, and that's how to do it. And that's how, you know, the game became easy for him, because the players knew what they could get away with, they respected him, and then, as I say, I thought he had a very good game.
Good. Okay, in the second half of the ref show this week, it's always a game of two halves here, and we get some stoppage time as well. We'll be looking at Spurs Stoke and Robert Madley making a particularly good and very tight call. We'll be looking at Mike Dean, just one query perhaps in the Manchester United Aston Villa game, and in particular we'll be looking at West Ham Leicester and those big talking points there involving keepers Schmeichel and Adrian. Plus we'll be looking at points deductions should they be brought in for dissent. Join us for the second part of the ref show.